episode 9 of Finding North. Hi Fahim, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Flo. Not too bad. I don't know. Every time we do this, it's lovely weather outside in London. It's baking out there. I was out in the sun doing my small routine in the morning where I wake up and just sit in the sun for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Today I couldn't hack it. It was like I couldn't sit there for more than 5 minutes. I was just sweating away. So
yeah, definitely helps. Definitely helps,
but not too bad. Yeah. Getting there. You
definitely helps with the mood in the morning if you wake up to sunshine and bright blue skies. For sure.
I think we have a.
I think you are frozen.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Do you want to? I had the wrong connection. Now I'm on a stronger connection. Should we start again, or we're gonna? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. All good. I mean, you were just interrupted.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, did you hear what I said? I said I sat out for no more than 5 minutes. What about you? So I'll pass it over to you. How are you doing, Flo?
No, I'm good. This is probably the last podcast that I'm gonna record from this room with this background for a couple of weeks. So we're gonna, if all goes well, we're gonna fly to Germany on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that. So there's gonna be a slight different change of background and setting, and like also routine for the next couple of weeks, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. So that has really elevated my mood these days.
Excellent. Well, I think whenever you've got something to look forward to, it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And so I assume flights are open, and when you land, you're not going to be asked to do the 2-week thing.
No, so it's like the rules seem to be slightly different everywhere. Whoever I talk with in Germany now, as of 2-3 weeks ago, there's no more mandatory quarantine if you come from a country that had less than 50 cases per 100,000 inhabitants for 7 consecutive days.
I see you read that particular rule very carefully.
Yeah, and I have my source open every day, and unfortunately yesterday the color, there's a color coding like for the European map.
Yeah.
One from the UK went darker again, which means there are more cases again. It's still under 50, but I'm just like, crossing fingers and hoping until Wednesday it's going to be fine. But yeah.
Well, if you're out and about and you see people not following the social distancing rule, you need to be.
Yeah, I've seen the BBC news this morning, and they showed some pictures from, I don't know what it was, Portsmouth or and other places, and obviously Regent's Park, and from yesterday, and no comment. Like looked pretty crazy.
With the sun out. I mean, last weekend, bank holiday weekend, and people were just out and about. There were street parties as well.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think what will be interesting then when we do the next recording next week, it is going to be a true testament of this virtual thing, because although we're both in London, it feels like you're not too far.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, let's see how it goes when you're in a different country. Like, would we feel the distance, or would it be like, hey, we're overthinking this co-location thing, and it doesn't really make a difference.
I mean, it's only an hour away, so I think we're still lucky. It's not that going to Australia or something like that, and we would really struggle with but yeah, we'll see. I think that's also obviously for work. It's also a slight difference, but I've been working from Germany before. I've spent a lot of time in Switzerland the last 12 months, which is also, so I don't think there's going to be really, it doesn't make any difference. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, in terms of the people, gathering again. The other thing that seems to be happening all over the place at the moment, obviously the topic, I think, also of last week, on one hand, the COVID related slash conspiracy theory protests that are happening all over the world at the moment, and obviously the crazy things that are happening in the US at the moment, starting in Minnesota following the death or murder of George Floyd, and now it's spreading all over. I mean, it's it's pretty crazy what's going on over there. Like, it's now in Atlanta, LA, New York, Philadelphia, and things are getting really violent, and obviously people not socially distancing on those things. So yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy week, to be honest, when it comes to that. And that I think also leads to one of the topics that we said we might quickly want to cover. We don't want to get too political here, but in terms of tech news, Donald Trump's tweet that got flagged and fact-checked by Twitter last week, which now might lead to sort of like the next stage in the fight between the US government and the big tech companies, especially the content companies, right? Like Facebook and Twitter specifically, to say like, okay, you're not the media platform anymore as soon as you start flagging things, because that puts an editorial aspect on it, because now you're not promoting free speech anymore, and you're not just giving people a platform to speak, but you're actually now marking people's content by saying like, okay, this is maybe fake news, or it's like glorifying violence. Well, but I consider it just as free speech. You then become an editor, and hence you become a media company, and hence the regulations that you have to follow. It's pretty interesting also the difference in between Facebook's approach and Twitter's approach, right? Twitter very proactive in there, and also like picking that battle. And then Mark Zuckerberg, like, it didn't even take him minutes or like hours to respond, to say like they find it the wrong way what Twitter did, and their companies like should not regulate and flag content. So yeah, not real. It's big news, and I'm pretty curious what's going to happen with that.
I think, it could, regulating the social media side of things could give rise to new, pure form freedom of speech, maybe platform, other platforms, but I don't know. Two minds about this. In one sense, it's good to fact check, but who facts checks the facts checking? And it's a never-ending loop. There's always going to be an agenda. And then, in the other hand, when you do have these platforms where there is free speech in its purest form available, you do get the sense that there are some troubling issues around the world, whether it's racism, whether it's whatever. It's still prevalent, and it's, let's not sweep it under the carpet and not pretend that there isn't an issue, right? And then there's the other angle of me that says, look, we live in such a diverse world. There will always be an opinion about something and an opposing view. There is never going to be, and the weird thing is, us humans like to focus on the extreme edges, because that's where the excitement and debate is, and so the extreme edges do tend to get a disproportionate amount of focus based on actually the common ground, the common understanding. It's a weird dilemma. It's a weird dilemma.
It is. That's why I said like it's a very delicate topic as well, right? Because if you have an opinion about it, will quickly people call you like either like too conservative or too leftist or whatever, or too liberal. And it's a very tricky argument. I'm completely with you, right? So it's like, to some extent, like, yeah, free speech is one of the most important things to like any democracy, right? So people can express their opinion without having the fear to being prosecuted for it or something like that. But at the same time, you know, there's also like lies and hate speech still can qualify as free speech, right? But like obviously they're not something that you want to promote and get out there, and especially when it then comes to like you know, like any like driving a specific agenda around like one particular political view and so on, then becomes very dangerous, right? It becomes very dangerous when it's like one person just having an opinion. That's fair enough, right? And they're stupid, okay, you know, they should still be able to express their stupid opinion. But if it's with the aim to sort of like influence an entire part of a society and push him towards a certain agenda, then I think it becomes very, very tricky. So
definitely, I think also it becomes even more sensitive or magnified where there's the underlying commercial model around funding the content is money. There's money to be made because it's no free. I mean, it's free content, but nothing is free, right? And then there's the whole aspect of, you know, I think we touched upon last week around personalization, you know. So being in a world where you'll never get the pure raw news or content that you can then decide whether this is good for me or you. But so everything's being highly personalized, and you slowly go into the bubble of only seeing what things that resonate with you. So, you know, news, like the pure form journalism, you know, the what it really stands for, it's about showcasing or hitting you hard with a piece of content or a particular investigation that goes against your beliefs, you know. So whereas, you know, we're becoming what's the word, used to seeing content that we resonate with, and you go into that circle. So
but I think that, you know, the counter argument here would be that in the past you probably would have consumed some of the traditional media outlets that are closer to the opinion that you want to hear anyway, right? So it's like if you're in the UK, right, if you're more like,
depending on which news channel you watch,
if you more lean towards a leftist view, you probably read The Guardian, right? I mean, it's and if you're more towards like a conservative, you probably wouldn't read The Guardian so much, right? And I think that it has always been there. I think that the only tricky bit with like the with the internet and the information that's spread there, at least in the past, you knew that whatever, even if you disagree with what is written in The Guardian or what's written in the Times, you know, the Telegraph, there's at least some rigor around the journalistic process behind, like, you know, checking and like going through, you know, and there's going to be editors. It's not just like I have an opinion, I push it out there, and then through the wrong means it's going to be used as like facts, you know, and like suddenly an opinion becomes like the truth. And there's a big difference, right? It's like I can have any opinion, I can tell it, and that's fine. But there's a difference between then someone taking this and like declaring it the truth and declaring it that this is. So that is the tricky bit. And like, just to follow up on this, and I think we, you know, I don't want to do Facebook bashing today, but there was another piece of information leaked last week that about Facebook, that, you know, Facebook claims to want to bring people together and societies together, and like with the internet, you know, they want to bring internet to Africa and like, you know, bring the human species together. And then there was a report leak that apparently already in 2013, I think it was, there's an internal report that showed that actually Facebook, rather than bringing people together, they create, you know, they create polarized opinions of people everywhere, you know, so actually people don't come closer together, they're actually like pushing. And this research, internal research, was sort of like put in the drawer, and nothing was done about it. And it sort of makes sense, because we know how media works, right? And the more the more extreme viewpoints you have, the more attention those get, right? So you have like you as the owner of that platform, you actually have an interest that things are very, very opposing, very polarizing, right? Because that grabs the attention of things. And then the people, as you said, when personalization comes to like a level where it's not healthy anymore, because then you, as soon as they identify as the person that really resonates and clicks on those news, they keep pushing more of that towards you, because that keeps you on the platform, keep spending more time on it. And if you spend more time on it, you click on more ads. If you click on more ads, they make more money, right? So it's like, it becomes suddenly a very, very, very sensitive topic. And so it's going to be interesting to see also with like the obviously the election coming up, right, in November, which was the last big tricky situation for Facebook and others, how that is going to go. I've already seen some examples of like the ads that they run in the US. Like it is unbelievable that this is even legal. I don't know, in the UK, I think it's not that bad, and Germany certainly not, but like the type of how they bash each other in those like commercials, right, and where it gets really personal, it's insane, pretty insane to me.
No, it's I think we're in the midst of like I said, anybody now with a camera is can demand attention, regardless of whether they've got the qualification or not to do the fact checking. I mean, you may have heard about many cases in like rural areas, that a video went viral of something happening. I think there was something in India, in some village, something went viral about these people doing something bad, not fact checked at all, and then like a mob got together and like killed innocent people, because they pounced on that fear and that emotional charge of the people. And those folks just need to let their anger out, and then you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's so difficult. There was a WhatsApp case, right, in India, where it's like about a girl got raped or something like this, and someone put a name of someone out there, and they just like, okay, it must have been this person. They went and they killed them, even though they were. It's crazy.
So I think it will level itself out, because just take, even in my household, my mom now is consuming a lot of Facebook content, right? And every other day she'll like, oh, did you know what this is? Look what they're doing, right? I'm like, oh mom, this is just, anybody could have put this up, right? This video can be just fake. So there is an education thing that's happening. I think as society, if we will become more fine-tuned around who to go to, how to fact check things for ourselves a little bit more. But I think it's still a number of years to go, because as humans, we're lazy. We want things to be done for us. We don't want to do the extra piece of work, effort.
And I think that's a really good point. And I think for people in our age, or even people older, right? I think you can approach a lot of this with common sense, right? So you see something on Twitter, or you see something on Facebook, or you look at it, you apply a bit of common sense to it, and you sort of like, okay, well, maybe it's not like just because I've seen this video, I read this tweet, that this is now what I need to take as like the golden truth, right? Well, I think it becomes very tricky, because we know like how the world worked before the whole internet, and how content was everywhere, and you got your news either from the TV news or from the newspaper, and there's a different type of rigor behind it. But what about the kids? Because kids are, if they have not really been growing up with this, and they at one point, I think it's very important that we actually, this almost needs to become part of, like, I think the school curriculum, to teach kids how to like navigate in that world that is like, not, and it's easy to say not everything that you see on the internet is true, but if kids just there and they it's just like, it's such a process of like, you just consume, and they have not really that reference point to how it should actually be. I think it's they should really be educated how to navigate and form an opinion in an almost just pure internet
Yeah,
world, like
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. Although, the education system, it's so behind, getting kids ready for a new world. It's I don't know. I think it's up to us, and if you're a parent or whatever, to really pay attention to those things,
Mm.
and ensure that nothing is taken for face value. I have a friend who he's maybe a little bit extreme, where whatever you tell him, he'll say, you know what, I do not believe you, need to prove yourself, like with
Yeah.
everything. You're like, no, the earth is round. Like, nope, you tell me, so there is a extremes to everything, but I think just being a very balanced individual. And I think also, Flo, I think we shouldn't forget that we're very fortunate to may have grown up in this era and managed to find our way to navigate. And I'm sure we've fallen into our own biases as well. But I think just being aware is a massive stepping stone in itself. Then what do you do with that? Whether it's up to you, whether you fact check or not, that's I think a separate issue. But just being aware that the world is a very uncertain place. There is a lot going on, and as long as you're aware of it, at least it's the first step.
100%. And I think the one thing we should not forget is like the internet actually offers way more benefits than actually the things that we now see as like the negative, because it gives you access to a much more diverse set of information, right? It's just when you need to actively go and search for it, because as you said, if you just be on those platforms, they're going to send you the stuff they think you're going to click on, right? So but if you go in and you just take a couple of like sources, credible sources, and if you want to form an opinion about a certain topic, just look at a couple of sources that you now have easy access to, and then form your opinion based on that. Just don't take the first video you see, copy it and send it into all your WhatsApp groups, right? Because that's how it starts. That's really how it starts.
And how many times as so I've come across this where a particular video has been shared, it's gone to all the groups, and then the person that shared it they've been told that it's not correct. So then they're like, guys, please ignore that. It's too late, it's too late by then. It's like, no, just don't share anything controversial or anything like that. Just don't share it. It is very hard when it's a video and you're so convinced of the, I don't know, cruelty happening. But yeah, anyways, when you and I fall into the same trap of focusing the negatives of the internet, whereas I think you nicely tried to balance it out. But no, I think look, we live in a world where there's so much abundance of opportunity. It's effectively what you do with that to better your life and society.
Very true. Cool.
Well, it's feels like we went down a rabbit hole, but I think it was very very relevant. I at the beginning I thought I wanted to just share like something fairly immediate that just happened yesterday. So I was past month or so, it was Ramadan for us, so we were fasting. So you don't eat, drink during daylight sunlight hours, and I didn't do my regular running, right? So that was paused, right? And I was like, yeah, no. I started running yesterday for the first time after 4 or 5 weeks, and it felt good. It felt good just getting out there. And then we after the run, me and my mates just got together, and one of my friends, I'll give him a shout out. So Shabs, he's a regular. He looks after his health, and every day he does his like squats and jumping jacks or whatever, burpees, whatever they're called, right? So I said, you know what? Why don't we just start a Zoom call right now, between 2, 3, or 4 of us, and let's just do like, while I watch you, I'll do it as well.
Yeah.
And I got killed, man. I was like, oh my God, I pushed myself too hard. And today I am in pain. I've got the whole chicken walk going on. I can't roll over, you know, and I feel good about it because you know that you've done something. You've pushed yourself where, you know, maybe the muscles fibers broken and new things will grow, right? But that led me to think about, you know, why does it have to be that you have to go through pain to achieve something great? Or I don't know, does it have to be a painful route? Just like with anything, you know, you have to push yourself outside your comfort zone. You have to find a bigger mountain to climb. You have to put your body through a bit of torture to gain the benefits of it, you know. And maybe that is the formula to life, you know. You struggle, but if you can struggle well, you'll get somewhere. But I don't know, what do you think?
No, I think that there's definitely something to it. I think the pain then comes in different forms, right? So you have now experienced the one where you actually experienced pain in a form of physical, you know, pain to your body. I think there's also the pain that, you know, slash fear that you need to overcome to go to certain levels, which also I think in the moment can cause you mental pain, right? Because fear is nothing more than really mental pain. You know, usually you overcome it, it hurts in the moment, but then when you pass it, it's gone. And I think there's certainly that thing. And I think what it does in both cases, regardless if it's actually experiencing physical pain or mental fear pain, it's that when you go through it, you build up knowledge, you know, either in your muscles or in your brain, that will then allow you to the next time like approach it with less pain or less fear, right? And that's when you actually then I think make leaps forward. It's funny that you bring it up. Yesterday I was watching a video of a guy who deliberately, so it was sailing related because I'm interested in sailing, so I watch a lot of like sailing related videos, and there was a guy, a Norwegian guy, who deliberately put himself in harm's way of going out to sail in a force 10 storm out of, you know, in front of the Norwegian islands, because he said you know, this is sort of like his approach in life. He needs to put himself in situations of fear to overcome it, to build the knowledge, so the next time when he's in the same situation, he will not be as fearful anymore of it, because he has been in it, he has gone through it, he has built the knowledge, and he can overcome it. And that's sort of like his way to success, right? So to building up to deliberately exposing yourself to pain or to fear, to build the knowledge or the resilience or whatever it is, to then overcome it and move to the next one. So definitely.
I think as that's a very good way of putting it. I was also thinking around the pain that you enjoy and the pain that you don't enjoy. I think when you've done something deliberate, like you mentioned in your example, or intentional. So I knew my body was going to hurt, but I'm doing it. And now that I know the body is hurting, you know, you pushed yourself in the right way. So you moan about it, but you're like, I knew what I was doing, right? Then there are certain times where you find yourself, whether it's mental or physical, in you hadn't planned it, and you just ended up in this weird place where you just have to now struggle your way out. I think that is when it's not being done deliberate, sometimes it can cause you a bit more of a pain to get through, you know, it's more of a mental thing, I would say. So I think life is growing or succeeding or being content with life is either you create the situations yourself when you get into a little bit of a comfort zone, or life will just throw something at you that you weren't looking for, and it just caught you left field. but I think you're right. If you have that attitude of saying, you know what, this moment that I'm going through, it's tough, and I know if I survive this and I come out of this, I'll be in a better place.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
when you're in that moment, though, it's not that easy to convince yourself as well.
It is not, but I think that you can make the argument, and I think everyone has an example out of their own life where you have exposed yourself to physical pain or to situation of fear, and you came out the other way. That knowledge that you built, that you either enjoyed it, the process of what came after, or you didn't, still puts you in a better place.
Yeah,
because even if you did something that caused you physical pain, right, and that might be a workout that you thought like, oh, that's going to be really good, and then you realized, well, it's not. Well, then you build the knowledge, you're not going to do it again, but at least you're going to stop thinking about that's something that might be good for me, right? And it's the same when you do something, I don't know, like you change your job or you change your relationship or you move or you go on this like adventure holiday, you jump out of a plane, and you approach it with fear. And then you went through it, and maybe you landed on the ground after jumping out of a plane with a parachute, and you hated it, but at least you've done it, and like you can tick box it and say like, okay,
that's right.
I can now move on. And I think all of those things will always make you a little bit more happy or less. It's going to reduce the noise in your head to think I really should do that. Well, then
I must say it's always good when you do a retrospective, right? When you look back, you're like, now I am where I am, but at that time we've all been through it where it hasn't been easy, right? But I think even with my kids, I try and make life for them a little bit tougher than it needs to be, just to help build some resilience,
100%.
And just one example which is just comes to mind past few days is I've really been trying to crack how to learn, right? How to learn anything, especially in a world of abundance, knowledge, etc. There isn't something that you can't learn nowadays, right? With all the resources available to us. So so I bought my son this telescope thing because he's into like the solar system and the SpaceX stuff, and he likes to watch the moon and whatnot. So I bought him this telescope thing. It's just a kiddie one, but for so many years, whenever I bought my son or my kids something, I'll always be the one assembling it for them. I'm the one assembling it, using it, and they don't really get something. They do get, but they get the finished product, right? This time, I just forced myself. I told all the family members, I said, you know what? Here's the box, right? Now, it's him and his box. He needs to get somewhere. So obviously, he's used to help, right? But this time, I said, son, you're going to learn how to help yourself, right? That's it. You're going to figure it out. Read the instructions, read the whatever. So he struggled, right? He was like, got to a point where he was teary because he wanted to use it very well and whatnot. But I held back helping him, and he must have done some YouTube research or whatever. It was a very simple fix at the end, what he was struggling with. But boy, oh boy, Flo, the feeling that he got of him doing it by himself and that struggle, he was just over the moon. Like the pleasure that he got out of able to do something for himself and learn for himself was obviously a minor scale, but for him it was a big thing. It was a massive revelation. And I think sometimes we may think that whether it's with our family, friends, or relatives, partners, sometimes we can become a crutch for them without realizing, like always helping, always there, always as a backup and things like that. And that crutch, if you leave that crutch for long enough, it's actually can do a lot of damage, or prevent the individual to grow in a much accelerated way. I don't know.
To become too comfortable and to then respond to certain situations just as with your routine is like every time I reach that point, I'll just ask daddy, or I'll just ask like mom, or just ask like friend XYZ for help, because I know they can do it slightly better. So why even bother doing it
Yeah,
myself and put it? Yeah,
yeah.
no,
It's
definitely.
it's like whenever if you've ever been a passenger, but you always go somewhere in a car somewhere with somebody, but you're in autopilot, you don't really learn the route. So I don't know, you don't really learn the route. You just know that, well, you've been there, etc. And whenever you have to do it by yourself, not in autopilot, then you realize that that journey that I've been doing for 10 years, I have no idea which turning, which traffic light do you take a right in, you know. Happened to in our household for so long, you know. And I was like, yep, well, you're gonna have to like find your own way. You need to get lost. To find your way, you need to get lost.
But I think this, you know, a lot of technologies have sort of like removed this level of I don't know, self-dependence, because like I remember back in the days when I was young, you know, I knew the phone numbers of like probably 30 people, like in my head, because
Speed dial in your
there
head.
was there was no you know, like you had to dial it. There was nothing you can look up in the phone, nothing, right? Same like when I remember and I don't know, for whatever reason I've been thinking about this a lot these days, about like the holidays that I did with my parents when we were young, and we were driving, you know, with like a camper van and through Europe, and they had like an actual map, you know. Like there was no navigation, there was no phone, no nothing, you know. And sometimes and you know, you still manage to reach your destination. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they would be completely lost. There's no way people could navigate with a card anymore and to get from A to B. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it might may even not find their way out of London. Not even talking about you know, driving like 1,000 miles to get somewhere.
True. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I think we've been running for a little while. Anything else you wanted to pick up in this episode?
No, I think we said we're gonna try to keep the ones where it's just the two of us. We might try to keep them a little bit shorter, and then whenever we have a guest on, like last week again, where we went again like very long, we you know, there's three people with three opinions, so it makes sense to then maybe
It's always gonna take longer, right? To go around. Yeah.
No,
Very
but
good.
like,
So why don't you read us out then?
yeah, can do. Yeah, thanks guys for listening. As always, if you're on YouTube, give the video a like, leave us a comment, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, please download the podcast, share it with your friends, colleagues, family members, everyone else. Yeah, have a good week, everyone. Still stay safe, even if the measurements are being eased. You know, don't put yourself in danger or anyone else. And we will speak to you in the next one. Cheers.
Peace.